Hold on a second. I can see an NFL player transitioning to the NBA way easier than I can see an NBA player going out there and playing.
You just lost all credibility just right there in that one statement. No, you literally just lost everything. The little I had, you just lost that. I'm not going to hold you.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. Before I get started, make sure you guys go and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel and you enjoy the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. And so let's go ahead and get into it. This isn't going to be one of my longer videos, but I definitely just want to take a second to chime in on Austin Rivers clapping back at Kimberly Martin for trying to argue that football players are better athletes and football players can make the transition to the NBA better than the NBA players can make the transition into the NFL.
Hold on a second. I can see an NFL player transitioning to the NBA way easier than I can see an NBA player going out there and playing.
You just lost all credibility just right there in that one statement. No, you literally just lost everything. The little I had, you just lost that. I'm not going to hold you.
And so that comment stung a little bit. That comment by Austin Rivers stung a little bit because Austin Rivers wasn't supposed to say that. He went off script a little bit. Rule number one is you never insult or you never clap back at a female guest or a female host on ESPN. They can talk that talk, they can talk that sass, but if their male co-workers try to clap back at them and come back at them in any way, now that's crossing the line. That's a little bit too much for ESPN to tolerate. And that's why you'll notice Greeny or somebody was jumping in trying to say, okay, guys, that's enough. You know, had it been two males going back and forth, it wouldn't have been an issue. Or had it been a female making that same statement, it wouldn't have been an issue. It's just regular banter going on between two sports pugnates. And truth be told, the reason why that did sting a little bit is because Kimberly Martin really doesn't have any credibility. Her credibility and her working at ESPN is a lot like the other black females at ESPN. The only requirement to be able to work at ESPN, to be employed by ESPN and be on television, is you have to date a white man or you have to be married to a white man. And you can go down the list. Sage Steele, Carrie Champion, Malika Andrews, and Kimberly Martin, all with white men. That's no coincidence. That's to make sure and that's to ensure that these particular women don't get out of line. But that's neither here nor there. Most of you guys already know what time it is when it comes to ESPN and how they do their employment. And so I'm going to go ahead and let it continwhich
No, you literally just lost everything. The little I had, you just lost that. I'm not going to hold you. Where's the camera at? Which one?
Whichever one you want.
Single shot. First off, let's be clear.
No, he's over here. It's over here.
In the history of football, has there ever been a college football player who's never had basketball experience said, you know what? I'm going to go try to play basketball. It's never happened before. On the contrary, I can give you multiple examples of basketball players who have never played football in their life, not pan out in basketball and be like, you know what, let me go try to play in the NFL. Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Jimmy Graham. Those are all Hall of Famers, by the way.
They're all.
Antonio Gates is somebody that never even stepped on a college football field before. Played high school football, and that's it. Antonio Gates was a 6'4" forward in college who, on his best year at Kent State, put up 20 and 7. Those are decent numbers. But there's no way in hell that he was ever going to make an NBA team. There was no way in hell that he was ever even going to get drafted by an NBA team standing at 6'4" and was considered a power forward. You got to be on a Charles Barkley level or somebody like that to even consider playing in the NBA. And even then, Charles Barkley was more like 6'6", 6'5", playing power forward. And Antonio Gates wasn't going to transition into a point guard or a guard or anything like that. So his only option was football. And they came calling because they saw the potential. They saw the talent. Although he hadn't been on the football field since high school, they said, hey, this is a guy that we can make a tight end. And lo and behold, he becomes not only a serviceable tight end, but arguably one of the best tight ends of all time, a Hall of Famer. And the same thing with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham played 4 years at Miami as a basketball player, in which he averaged 4.2 points a game. And so he wasn't even a good college basketball player. But the Miami football team saw something in him. They said, hey, this is a guy that we can make a serviceable tight end. And he played 1 year at the U, had 200 yards receiving for the season and 5 touchdowns. So he was a guy they just lined up probably in goal line situations or when they were close to the end zone. And they told him, hey, just go run a go route. Just get to the back of the end zone and we'll throw it up, go grab it. and he was successful at it. He was good enough where he got drafted in the 3rd round. The New Orleans Saints drafted him, and the rest is history. Hall of Fame tight end player. So what are we talking about? These are college basketball athletes that couldn't cut it at the next level, couldn't sniff an NBA team.
Yeah. And I can keep going. I had a guy from my class, Ricardo Gathers, never played football in his life. Never played football, played at Baylor. Ricardo Gathers got drafted by the Cowboys. This is what we do. Now, I can grab a whole bunch of 6'10" guys with 50-inch verticals who can run a 4.5 and give them 6'5" months of training and go play a tight end. No football players never played basketball.
Let her go. Let her go. Go ahead, Kmart.
Thunder lights you up.
Allen play. Listen, Austin, your comment was very disrespectful in the very beginning to football players, but that's neither here nor there. I do think that Josh Allen at 6'5", 237 pounds can give you 7 minutes of tenacious D off the bench. You're telling me you have seen this guy throw a football, you've seen this guy hurdle over guys on the football field and run through them? You're saying that he couldn't do that? But I'll take it even further for you, Austin, because I respect the game of basketball, and I know that there are a lot of hoopers in the NFL. I think a guy like Keon Coleman, who was a two-sport star, not only in high school, but also played at Michigan State, he could go to the NBA right now and score a point for any basketball player that you could mention can come to the NFL and score a touchdown.
He actually did play a couple of games for
100%.
Tom Izzo at Michigan State, but that's neither here nor there. Here's the one thing I will say. Josh Allen, he can give you 6 fouls. I'll tell you that.
Anybody can do that.
6 fouls.
He can give you 7 minutes and 3 fouls. Come on.
Can I ask you one question? Name a football player who has played football and decided just to go play in the NBA in college. Name a college football player who is a top college football player and just been like, you know what? I'm going to go play in the NBA. I'll give you one, and I'll tell you, if you can, you would. Charlie Ward was a Heisman winning and chose to be a backup.
Yeah, I'm a Heisman Trophy winner, Austin. I know Charlie Ward was a basketball player. He was a quarterback that should have played in the NFL, and he went and played in the NBA. Come on, man. Like, I know that.
I lost control here.
That's the point.
We're all friends.
And so Austin Rivers pretty much just dropped the mic on this one. And it went right over a lot of people's heads because of all that fake laughter going on in that studio. And they missed what he said. If NFL players could, they would. Because he brought up a great example. Charlie Ward was a Heisman Award winning college quarterback, which should have got drafted in the NFL, like RG3 said, but we all know the reason why he didn't. But because he was a dual sport athlete at Florida State and he was able to work on his skills at basketball while at Florida State, he was able to transition into the NBA as a career backup point guard, averaging about 5 points a game for his career. He was a solid backup. And I don't say that lightly. The fact that he was good enough to be a backup in the best basketball league in the world, in an international league for the most part, the fact that he was able to be a backup point guard, that says a lot. That says a lot about his skills. But with that being said, if you look at somebody that was in that same draft class, that same NFL draft class with Charlie Ward, somebody that was also a Heisman finalist in that same year, that would be Marshall Faulk. And this is the perfect example right here because Marshall Faulk played 12 years in the NFL while Charlie Ward at the exact same time in history, Charlie Ward played 12 seasons in the NBA. Not putting his life on the line, not even being a starter, not even really being a good NBA player. And that's no disrespect. He was a serviceable NBA player. He had spots, he had moments, but he wasn't somebody that was going to make an all-star team. He wasn't somebody that was going to even sniff an all-star team, not even a borderline all-star. And so he was at the bottom tier in the NBA, and he still managed to make $60 million. But then on the opposite end, you look at somebody like a Marshall Faulk, who was a legendary Hall of Fame running back, needs no introduction. He managed to earn $52 million for his career. And that's a legendary Hall of Fame running back. He had to be the best at his position to be able to earn that. Meanwhile, Charlie Ward, he just had to be okay. He just had to make a roster to be able to make $60 million in that same time span. And so like Austin Rivers said, if you coulda, you woulda. But most dual sport athletes will choose football because there's more opportunity. You're talking about 53 roster spots, 32 teams. And on top of that, you're not competing against international play. The chances you making a roster on an NFL team are astronomically higher than somebody making the roster on the NBA team. And so what are we even talking about? Case closed. And this is a subject that, like I said, I've touched on a few times, and I don't see any need to go into it anymore, any further. But I definitely wanted to chime in because I believe that Austin Rivers pretty much just shut down the debate. The NBA is not beating down the door at these NFL combines trying to get the top athletes to cross over to play in the NBA. It's the other way around. And so case closed. But that's going to be it on this one. Let me know how y'all feel in the comment section below. And as usual, make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as usual, peace and chaos.